Hi, friends. This is your pal Scott Garibay. Today, we're going to talk about American culture and specifically an interesting problem that seems to be emerging, and what can we do about that problem. So, a new movie recently came out for 2025, a Denzel Washington movie, and it's called Highest to Lowest. And this thing came on my radar in a very odd and confusing manner. And it was alarming. I wasn't sure what to do with what I saw. So basically, I go to the movies literally all the time. I have a movie pass. The bar has to be extremely low for me to see a film. So this movie comes out and it's called Highest to Lowest, and I'm like, okay, and actually the first time I saw it was when I went into my Regal Movie Pass app, and I see the trailer for it. Actually, I see the poster for it, and I'm like, that's Denzel Washington on the cover in a movie that's out now, but I've never seen a trailer for it. I was like, that's weird, right? And immediately I was alarmed. I was like, I'm just going to skip this. I don't know what this is, but this seems, they have a saying, one for them, one for you, right? You do a movie that everyone's going to enjoy if you're a big star, and then you do one for yourself, some kind of indie, quirky niche film that no one's going to watch, and that is going to be difficult for everybody to watch, right? Because you're an artiste, right? You're like, okay. And I was like, this has got to be one for him, so I'm like, I'll skip that, right? So I did. I completely skipped it. I didn't know what it was about. So then the reviews came in. But how did the reviews come in? First of all, my favorite reviewer, her deepest cut is her worst review is she won't talk about your movie at all. She didn't talk about Highest to Low. I didn't hear a single word from it. She didn't review it. She didn't even apologize for not reviewing it, right? She didn't even touch it. And I was like, oh, that's the deepest cut, right? And that's really interesting, that like the deepest cut is when somebody's just like, my review of your movies, I'm not even going to mention that it exists, right? And that is a brutally savage review from Grace. And it's really weird because she didn't go to see Godzilla, Godzilla minus one, and people were like, man, this is good, you got to go see this, Grace. And she just didn't see it, right? Now she did come back and apologize for not seeing it, because she's like, I know a lot of you really like this film, but she didn't touch this. And so I was like, I don't really want to see this. So then Fish Jelly, those guys are fantastic. They're a couple of gentlemen who review movies together, and they reviewed this movie, and they're married, and so they're both accredited movie reviewers, and they reviewed this movie and they tore it apart. And they do full spoilers. I love their channel. They only do full spoilers, which I think is brilliant. It's one of the best things I've ever seen in movie review. So they did this. They reviewed this and they tore it to shreds. And I listened to the whole thing, right? So and actually there aren't going to be any spoilers for it in this. And so they said, this is a Spike Lee movie. And I was like, what? And so the way that Denzel Washington got into a movie that wasn't even worth putting out trailers for was, it's a Spike Lee movie. And you're like, oh, wait a second. And then the moment you hear it's Spike Lee, you're like, oh, I understand why there's no trailers for this, right? So Spike Lee, at this point has been making, so he did Do the Right Thing, and Inside Man. Both of those are fantastic films. I enjoyed both of those. But Spike Lee hasn't made a good movie in 20 years, maybe. Not in a long, long time, right? And why? Why has he not made good movies? Well, the problem is, and this is really strange, but when you have all of your problems answered and you have the answers to most problems, you make terrible art. It's just the way it is. I think he's so successful he doesn't have to take any notes. He's a millionaire. He doesn't know what struggle is. And so what is he putting into his art? His problems are so minor, so like unimportant, comparatively, that he doesn't have anything to draw from at this point. And this movie it just rolled out. It was forgotten. I think it barely, I think it maybe made it into the top 10, like maybe some 7 or 8, it's being outperformed by animated films, right? And I think we have to realize this is the issue. If you have all your problems solved, you're going to create terrible, terrible art. Is there a way to fix this? Right now, no. I think James Gunn is proof of this. You know, and Spike Lee is proof of this. And I think there's a lot of other examples. If you have a counter example, I'd love to hear it. But generally, I think this is that. Even Kevin Feige right now, you know, he's struggling to make even movies that make even $750 million, let alone break the top and smash through the $3 billion mark. So this is just an issue that exists. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.